Luca Guadagnino's Call Me By Your Name is an evocative and timeless masterpiece. Set in 1980s Italy, the film follows the transformative summer romance between a precocious teenager and his father's charming research assistant. And today, I'm discussing it with my friend, Wade Belair. When you first saw Call Me By Your Name, did you see it in theaters? Did it take you some time to see it?
I didn't see it in theaters. I watched it with my mom right before I came out. Okay. And I don't want to give it credit for because I actually didn't come out. She called me out. I think it was actually, she might have been motivated by the movie, but we were having lunch and she said, Dad and I aren't getting any younger. This could be the perfect time for you to bring home a girl or a boy if you want. And I was like, it was kind of a fork dropper. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then gave in.
And it's really fitting because the movie, so your mom brought the movie to you and you watched it together with her.
Yeah.
And that was before this happened.
Before.
And the movie, his parents, they almost seem knowing of the relationship between the two of them before Elio even realizes.
Yeah. And I think that's the biggest part. It was the unspoken acknowledgement. And then when Elio's mom says, I think he likes you too, and he gets all perked up and excited, and he was like, why would you say that? I think she took it in her hands and be like, I'm just going to try because she's my best friend. So she was like, I'm just going to pull it out of you. And that was good. It was for the best.
So I first saw this in 2018 in theaters, and I have 3 younger siblings, and one of my sister and I went with one of her friends who had seen it previously, and he's also gay, and he's like, this movie changed my life. This was second time seeing it. I cried throughout this entire movie. So I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't really know anything about it. I hadn't heard of it. And we go to the movie, and I just was so blown away by the storytelling, by the acting, by how the romance unfolded. At first, I didn't think that Oliver was gonna reciprocate Elio's romance. I thought it was just gonna be Elio longing this whole summer. And I just was totally surprised. And I honestly haven't revisited the movie until I rewatched it last night for our discussion today. And there were so many elements that I forgot about. And there's also I picked up on things that I didn't pick up on the first time that I didn't remember about.
Yeah. I think it's super, the reason people felt that way, your friend felt, and I'm sure you felt, is because it's so, they capture the little nuances and feelings so perfectly. Him recoiling so much and being so anxious around Oliver and getting nasty towards him at times and almost, it's too perfect. And it's also so perfect because I forget what age he's supposed to be. It feels like he's supposed to be 14, 15, 16, Elio.
He's 17.
17. So it's classic, he's in that teenage, the pining, the pining and for what he thinks is a straight man. So I think that immediately hits you and you're I remember being that where you have a crush on someone, who you think is straight. And he's trying to kind of be cool and nonchalant at first, and then he's kind of mean and passive. And that, I feel really hit me hard because I feel that was so much of my life was being this pining little gay boy. Even if I didn't, and the same as him where he also had not ever, I don't think, identified anywhere in his life that he's gay. And I think that was also a learning moment for him because as we know, he had the girlfriend. Then his reaction to having a crush on Oliver is to almost ramp the relationship up with his girlfriend, almost to prove to himself, maybe I'm not gay, that's whatever. He's let's go to the river and have sex. He pushes it almost on her. It wasn't even her idea. So I think that's I think that age, that 17, those teens, is why so many of us resonate with it so hard. It's so accurate. And they capture it so perfectly.
Did you always know, or did it take you time?
I always knew, but I wasn't thinking at that age especially. I think from teenage years, I never put a label to it in my head. I think I acknowledged the fact that I'd have feelings for boys, but I would really push to myself it's also girls too, and we try to overcompensate to myself and then to others later in life as it got more high school years, but I wasn't thinking in those terms. And I had a span of time where I was thinking about how my life would unfold, and I started planning okay, you'll marry a woman and then you'll just cheat. And that was my thought as 15 years old, just a sick
You were playing this out at 15 years old.
Yeah, just thinking like this is how life's gonna be, I guess. Like the thought of being openly gay was never like I didn't even like really think about it or consider it. But I also think I didn't really know anyone who was openly gay, and I think the only people that I did know were like, you know, high school era, like were extremely like ostracized and like, you know, I don't want to say pariah, 'cause it wasn't like I was from this like vicious school, you know, where it's like, but it definitely, you're kind of like, I had always been with my tight-knit group of straight guys who I'm still extremely tight-knit with. And I just like didn't want to lose out on the camaraderie and being one of the guys. I can be the odd duck out. So I think I just was like, I don't want to go down that road. But I think for a long time, I didn't even think that that was even an option. It was like, this whole weird thing you're feeling when you see that guy and you just want to, in like a locker room. I think that was always like when I was like, what's going on? and then, you know, what's interesting is also from the movie, like he almost like fetishizes Oliver with the girl that he's hooking up with. You know, he like hooks up with the friend and he asks him, he's like, you know, she got much more beautiful last summer. Like he's almost like getting turned on by it. It's almost like voyeuristic. And like I had a lot, I think that, and I talk about this with my therapist all the time, like that was like kind of a phase too, where it's like I would have these boys that I was friends with that I would have crushes on, and then I would talk to them like that, where I'd be like, you know, like want to hear their sex triumphs with girls and whatnot. And that was almost like this middle ground where I'm like, I can't have this guy, so I'm going to hear about other things that he's doing. And I kind of felt that in the movie a lot too.
So what years were you in high school? When did you graduate?
2014.
So I'm a little bit older. I graduated in 2009. People who were like out or who, I'm talking about like gay men specifically, like there's definitely like kind of like a little more like flamboyant and just kind of, you know, just in a way that where I like saw it, I was like, well, I don't feel like I'm like that, so I must not be gay. Kind of distancing myself from that.
Yeah.
Is that something that you also felt too? Like this, like there was going to be this stigma that came with it if you were to.
I almost felt that up till like recent life too, till I realized that there isn't one way of being gay, but like I think that takes even longer because you try once you find like I consider myself like a very masculine gay man, but like then I have friends who are my very good dear friends who are like extremely feminine, you know, wearing stilettos when we go out, like, and it's like I for a while. Even after I came out, had a hard time being like, I don't, you know, and I think you hear this a lot where people are like, I don't identify, you know, I don't fit into the gay community, but it's like, yeah, but you're also kind of having selective vision of it where you're like, you're just looking at like the Pride Parade and you're like, this is, you know, it's like you forget, like, you can't really say that until like you've given it a true effort. But I feel like early days, yes, like as like high school, you know, the guys who came out as gay, always, and I wonder what this is, like, you know, where there's like a correlation here, but like always were like extremely effeminate. So it's like, I almost would say they didn't come out. It was just like, you were just identified as like, you're gay. Like you're, you know, there was one in particular who I was good friends with who like, but then in high school, like, as I started almost having panic of my own, selfishly would distance myself. Anything different, especially in boy culture with like being effeminate, it's tough. Yeah. Like, and you just like, you steer away from it.
Yeah, you don't want to give yourself any opportunities to be bullied in any way.
Or just like like left out, like you're like socially, like you're like you're worried your friends are gonna drop you. But I think also on that, like I had never seen a masculine gay man ever. Like I don't think, like in my teen years, like that was never a concept I'd seen. So that's why I think I didn't know it was a possibility. I think if I was 14 and I saw, honestly, this movie, like well, I guess this movie wouldn't be great because I'd see Oliver and he'd get married a woman in the end. So but some other variation of this, it probably would have changed a lot of things. I'd be like, oh, you don't have to be this or that. You can just be a gay guy who's more masculine gay guy or like whatever.
Yeah, showing more movies that showed like variety within.
Yeah, more like as with anything, like there's just personality types. Like it's just there's different personality types. And I feel like there was only really one depiction, at least when I was in my teens, and that was super effeminate. Like it was like a real extreme. Like even just like in movies, you know, like that was it. I think that's all the only reference point I had.
Well, should we get into the plot of this?
Yes. Yeah. Please. Sorry.
So it starts out with images of Greek or Roman sculptures. Oliver comes to help assist Elio's dad in cataloging these statues, and
He's like an archaeologist for some university. Yeah,
sending stuff over from Berlin. There's a lot of stuff going on. They're pulling stuff out of the ocean.
They make it like the coolest thing ever. Where I was like, this dad's this, and like the set. It's just like their life was so appealing.
Yeah, it's just this like hot summer, and all you can do is if you're not working, you're just like out by the pool, just like sweating in the sun, and it just like really like beautifully shot too. The cinematography could like knock it over.
I feel like that's the thing, and that's like what got people also on it, where it wasn't like set in like suburban New Jersey. You know, it's like where it's like, oh, here's a gay high school, like the Glee kind of thing. It's like you're kind of like, damn, this is like the coolest. Like this is the most like aesthetically pleasing place I've ever seen. Like that's like that house is still like my favorite house ever. And it's like no AC, like doors open. The dad, they always somehow like they're always at night, like they're in like crisp button downs that somehow were like somehow like fresh, and they're like smoking cigarettes constantly, and drinking wine, and they're having so much fun, and like that's also like you could take the whole love story out of it, and that would like I'd be into that. So he every summer has some student to come mentor. And I also read the book.
Oh, no way.
In the book, I
have so many more questions.
I know, but see, like, I read it a while ago, but I was I have it like near me always, and I was like in my apartment, and like I was looking at it the other night, and because I was actually trying to think, like, did he ever mention another gay experience or like anything? And in the book, he mentions having crushes on other students who came to stay, like in the past, like Elio. He mentions other students coming and going that he had crushes on. So it's like that was a common theme for him. And then obviously this was the only one where it actually happened. Mm-hmm. Yes, there's all like the male statues. There's like huge theme throughout the whole thing. It's all about like abs, dick, all of it. Like, it's like
the most important.
It's like the whole thing. It's like when they're taking that statue out of the water. That's like a big thing they're talking about.
Mm-hmm. And very like sensually shot too. The body like comes out of the wall.
Yeah. But he comes, like then Elio has like this like weird competitiveness with him almost too. And Oliver comes in so strong as like the most confident. That was the whole thing I remember like through the book that also is in there. It's like he's so confident, like comes in immediately, like kind of runs the roost, like immediately is in, like I'm gonna go into town and do X, Y, and Z. So he also is like the perfect depiction of like the guy you have your first crush on. It's like this older brother, cool, whole like jockey. You're like threatened by his presence.
Mm-hmm. But very pretty at the same time.
Very pretty and like also kind of like womanizer, ladies man, which is also I've always talked about is like a huge common theme with closeted men, as I was that same kind of deal. And like he's that, and he's the perfect depiction of that.
And I love the way he's introduced in the movie too. Is he shows up and then he immediately goes to bed and basically sleeps for a huge chunk of time.
And then he comes in, he's like eating like a man. He's like eating the eggs and like and he's watching and he's like, this is hot. And you can see the mom like look over at Elio and be like, he's into this
immediately.
Yeah, it's like you can like it's just, and it's so funny. I talked to my mom about it and she was like, I know that like she can like read my mind in those types of things. Like when I had my first like male relationship that wasn't really a relationship because this was the guy who was in the closet. Like I'd always bring him around at first as like this is my friend that I met through my friend.
How old were you guys when you met?
27. It was actually on my birthday at the Jersey Shore. My good friend brought him, was like, hey, can my friend come? And we were just like laughing in the corner all night. My girlfriend came up to me and was like, he likes you. I was like, no, he's like the notorious, he has sex with every girl under the sun. Has a girlfriend at this time, and obviously in my head I was like having the biggest crush.
You're like, please.
But I didn't think there was any like actual realistic. There was a night where he was over and we were all like drinking, and he was like asked my mom, was like, you take a picture of us, and like put his arm around me and took a picture, and she took the picture and like afterwards said, and then like later I was like, why'd you say that? And she's like, I just think you're like this is not gonna be good. And then years later, as we went through this agonizing process for like 2.5, 3 years, she was right. Moms are smart like that. The people today, when I talk about anything where I'm like, oh, like, this guy's in this, or talk about my story, they're like, it's 2026, like, who gives a why would anyone be in the closet? It's like, that doesn't matter what year it is. Like, it will always be a thing where, like, boys don't want to be on the playground and be like, I'm gay. You know, like, it's just like, that's later. Like, it's too hard to comprehend, like, at that age. Like, it's hard. Like, at that point, it's just all about, like, what game, like, it's just, you know, you just don't want to be left out of anything.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the standout scenes for me when I kind of was like, oh, is there like a mutual interest, is Elio's like a musical prodigy. He's like learning, playing the
Yeah,
piano.
there's a converting, yeah.
Oliver asks him to play like a Bach song.
Yeah.
I can't believe you changed it again.
Oh, I changed it a little bit.
Yeah, why?
I just played it the way Busoni would have played it if he'd altered Liszt's version.
And what is wrong with Bach, the way Bach would have played Bach's
Bach never wrote it for the guitar. In fact, we're not even sure Bach wrote
Forget
it
I
at all.
asked.
It's flirty.
It's a flirty tension, and then Oliver like walks out, and then finally Elio plays it in the style of Bach.
Yeah.
And then Oliver comes back.
That's the other thing that I feel like hits the most home is like when you have this like pining crush, you're looking for any like little moment, like whether it's like a knee touch or like or they look at you like a smile and you're like
their love.
So he's looking for that the whole time. Like when they're playing volleyball and he like grabs his shoulder and you know, and then when they're in the pool and he like swims up to him and he's like, "What are you doing?" And he gets mad and he's like, "Nothing."
You're not going to tell me?
I'm not going to tell you.
He's not going to tell me what he's thinking about.
And then that was like kind of like the big one where it's like you could tell he could also tell because he like gave in and was being flirty back.
Yeah. Elio like goes to like masturbate. Oliver like comes in like, "What are you doing?" And then he's like, let's go swim right now. And he's like, "Right now?"
Yeah, that's like when you're in like the moment of like now I'm like he's like obsessed. Like he's in now it's like full force. Like puts his bathing suit on his head.
Yes.
Which like we've all done. And like that's why this movie it's so good. It's like it's just like a build up of these little moments and he's looking for those moments and you know what it feels like to be looking for those little moments. Like to this day I still, you know, like we'll be sitting with somebody and like if it's like there's like a little touch or something.
You're like, what was that?
Part of me is kind of like, oh my god, it's,
wait,
it's just it's just how it goes. Like the little moments are like the most important thing, and like they just capture it so perfectly. You can just tell everyone who worked in this movie, it was like at one point just like a little shy gay boy. Like you just like it hits so perfectly.
Yeah.
But yes, that's when you can first feel that the reciprocity is that the piano scene. And then obviously it starts to steadily build.
When you first saw the movie, like what were your thoughts about that? Like, did you also think that Elio was the only one that was going to be pining after Oliver, or did you know that there was going to be a mutual?
I think I knew, unfortunately, because it was just like I knew that this was like a gay movie.
Did you watch gay movies before Call Me by Your Name, or did you avoid them?
I feel like I avoided them, but I think I would alone, like probably for sure. I was just thinking about this the other day. I was like, I can't really think of like another. I didn't watch Brokeback Mountain, and I should have.
I resisted that movie for a long time. Did you see it eventually?
Yeah, that one. That is like one of the. I almost said that for this discussion, but it would have been. I would have been.
We'll save that for the next.
I would have been like red
discussion.
the whole time. It would have been too much.
Like, no, I'm the same way.
It's too accurate.
Yeah.
It's like too.
It's too devastating.
But I had heard about it, and it was always like the joke. Like people always joke. Like it's like what do you Brokeback Mountain? Like that was always like the gay joke.
Which is such a shame because you're talking about, being in high school and. You want more like role models, and I also kind of had a similar situation where that movie came out when I was like in like 7th or 8th grade, and it was also like it was a punchline saying Brokeback Mountain, and so I resisted the movie for so long. But the guys in that movie, like it just was so, it just shows you different sides of like homosexuality. I thought was really powerful. Now it has a very tragic ending that's devastating.
Yeah, I don't think anyone was really ready for like that. I think Brokeback Mountain almost got like swept under the rug.
It should have won Best Picture.
I guess the generation, because like we were younger, the generation who were like the viewers, like the people who were in their 20s, 30s, 40s then, I think watched that and they're like, bullshit. That's what I'm saying, like with the heated riot. Like it's like now it's almost like this was like the second go around of like, oh shit, this is like a thing where like guys are like these tough guys with wives and like are gay. But I think that movie came out and like, I feel like it was maybe received as kind of like, this that doesn't happen.
Like people didn't believe.
Like there's no way these guys like doesn't, because I think no one wants to believe that, because like it's like whenever I tell stories of like the guy who I was with, and then countless other times of like the guys that I've hooked up with who are closeted and like have girls hate to hear it too. They love it because it's like juicy gossip, but like hate to hear it so much. It's like a sphere for, you know, for a lot of girls. It's like, I mean, now I know of like movies that are even, I think, older than that, like Birdcage. But I didn't even know that Birdcage existed. I knew Brokeback Mountain because it was like a joke, or it was made to be a joke. But like, I couldn't name another movie. I don't think 17-year-old me could name another movie other than Brokeback Mountain.
I definitely shared that way of thinking, and I definitely think what was filtered down in grade school, who were like little kids at the time that Brokeback Mountain came out, like it was very much a punchline. But I wonder, like, where we are in our lives right now, and more accepting of who we are. Like, there's probably kids in school right now who are coming to terms with or like wondering if they're gay, and they're also like trying to shove those desires down, even though we're like, well, there's heated rivalry, we have all these different resources, and it seems to be more culturally acceptable and the atmosphere. But I just wonder if it's just part of, as I'm getting older, I think it kind of like if the cycle starts over again, I think it gets easier for people. But I even like revisited movies. Like there's The Birdcage, and then also when I was growing up, I don't even know how I watched these movies, but I watched Beautiful Thing, which is from the 90s, set in England. It's a very sweet, like gay coming of age movie. There's also this movie called Shelter that came out in the 2000s that I watched, and it was also showed like a healthy relationship that didn't end in tragedy, like Brokeback Mountain. And then I've even revisited or even just like looking at like LGBTQ like rights movements in like the 80s and the 70s and the 60s and Harvey Milk in the 70s. It's like really powerful stuff. And there definitely was a community. And sure, you have to go to like San Francisco or LA or New York, these major cities, to really like feel that and build your own family.
That one was hardcore. That one almost was, I feel like, teenage me would watch like I think it was called Milk. We'd like watch that and be like, this is too crazy. This is like too much for me. Like, but you know what actually is a really good one is I think it would be helpful for teens. Love, Simon was a really good one of that, where it's like he's like a teen. It's like really quintessential suburban teenager, comes out, dad's super jockey man, like well received, the mom well received, friends well received. Comes out very realistically to like one friend first, who's kind of a fringe friend, not your closest friends. Like I remember when I came out, I first came out to people I was barely friends with, and you're kind of trying it out. And people you trust. Like I came out to like this girl I went to school with, went to college with, who came out as being bisexual, and I was like, okay, like I can confide in her. But then like later, I remember I had really close friends who were like, why'd you tell 20 people before you told me I'm your best friend? It's like, yeah, well, that's why. Because like it's more significant. Even with all these movies and shows and just like more discussion around gay and LGBTQ, like I think it's just like always going to be I don't think it's ever going to be as easy as just like, oh, like it's cool. Like I'll just come out as gay. Like it's just like, it's a character. Like it's your personality, it's your character. And you're altering it, and like you're altering it for the truth, but like you have to, like, change is scary in any regard, and like you are now have to like make this change, and like you don't know where it ripples, like the butterfly effect of coming out. Like you're like, what things will change, like whether you like it or not. It doesn't have to always be for the worst, but like things change. Like you come out, and like some people, even if it's the slightest, smallest thing, like you get treated by someone who treated you one way, you know, before, treats you a little bit differently, even if it's like, my biggest fear was my friends and I have like a really no holds barred like humor. Like we like make jokes, and it's like you really can like test each other's limits of like how far you can go. When I came out, I was like, please don't like now hold back. Like you can still, like, if you want to like make a really gay joke at me, you can like do it, and like,
because it's a level of closeness too, to show that you're not afraid to say the jokes.
Don't be weird.
If you're like holding your tongue, then it's like, I know you're not connecting with me.
And then I'd regret it. I'd be like, I should never say anything because now you guys all treat me differently. And like literally, like as I was saying that, one of them was like, "Shut the fuck up! Like you're so gay!" Like and like, and, like did it, and I was like, "Oh, thank God!" Like, I know it was like the best delivery. I was like, "Thank God!" Like, but that is your fear, and I think no matter how many movies and how much the conversation progresses, it's hard. And I think it's like boy culture. Like it's just, when you are a young boy into your teens, into your 20, like into whenever, because people, you know, obviously you're like, someone who's come out in their 50s, like it's just like, it's never easy because it's you against you and your brain, and like this change has to be made, and it's scary.
Yeah, it's being like emotionally vulnerable, which I think is hard.
It's the most vulnerable.
It's hard regardless of just like sexuality. This is a like coming of age movie, but coming of age isn't limited to sexuality. Like like the process of puberty, the process of just like the changes of who you are or like realizing who you are, I think can show up in so many different ways. And this is just one other element of that.
I imagine that there were also like 50-year-old men who watched that and were like, damn. I had spoken to someone recently who was like, he's like 55, like wife, several kids, like came out in his late 40s, early 50s. It was like the same thing. Like there was no difference between what I thought, you thought, he thought. Like it was like he just went longer, and like he suffered longer.
Yeah.
Which I can't imagine. I can't imagine going.
Or people who have
further than this point.
Passed on who never came out and kept it a secret till they died.
Right, and there's a lot of that. And there's people I know that are going to do that. I think the person that I was with before and the other people I've like hooked up with or have confided in me, like I think I know a lot of people who are just going to like bury it forever. And like maybe here and there act on it, you know, on a work trip in Tampa and like you hook up with some odd guy at a bar and then they'll just like never really experience like their true selves and they'll have this, they'll never have like this full honest intimacy with their wife and family. It's just, and that's dark. That to me is like, and that's what I thought I was going down. But that's, now that I think about that, I'm like, that would have been the darkest path possible.
Yeah, it's to like compartmentalize your life.
And like, I think when you're repressing anything, it doesn't have to be sexuality, but like you repress anything, any sort of like secret or anything, like it's almost like a tumor on your brain and you are a different person. Like you act out. When I was holding in this secret, I was a really friend. I would lie all the time about just weird things. And it's like, you're like sick. I think if you're repressing, like you are kind of like, you're like, it's just because you can't, unless you're fully honest with yourself on all things or trying to work on things, like you try to compartmentalize, like will always just boil up inside of you and come and manifest in like scary negative ways. It's never gonna like be for the greater good of yourself, like in the end. Like it's always gonna come out in negative ways.
Yeah, it can be really poisonous.
I was so shitty. Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, in Calling By Your Name, Elio, there's a point where there's kind of this hot and cold between the two of them. You kind of like feel a tension starting to boil up and you can see, we're shown mostly through Elio's perspective how he's becoming intoxicated by Oliver. He just like can't stop thinking about him and he's desiring him. He's sticking his head in his swim trunks trying to...
Waiting for him when he doesn't come home and like sitting outside on the stoop.
Yeah.
When they really were nasty to each other, where like they're in the car with who's going to, you know,
Fighting over
navigate.
who gets the front seat. Yeah.
And he talks about the other girl, like she got beautiful, and he gets in the car and he's like, don't pretend to care, like about me, you know, like, and like, it's like, you're kind of like, oh, like they're having a fall, this is it, like they're having a falling out.
They discover there's like a statue that's in the water that they pull up from the water that we had mentioned before. Once that body's like brought up from the water, it's this male torso.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the whole movie kind of like shifts from that point on.
Yeah.
So where like once this, kind of what you're speaking to is this feeling of who we are, you like push it really deep down, I guess with this statue, I guess you could symbolize as like repression that is deep in the depths of the water. But like once you bring it, once it rises to the surface, that's when Elio is finally able to speak of how he feels about Oliver.
Yeah, that's actually, I kind of didn't, I don't think, pick up on how it like all shifted after that. And then that happens, then they're like splashing in the water together, like all that. And then it does shift.
If you only knew how little I know about the things that matter.
What things that matter?
You know what things.
I remember like on first watch, I was like, is this actually happening?
He's like, why are you telling me all this? And he's like, because I wanted you to know. And then he's like almost angry. He's like, you wanted me to know? That is like the best. Because that's like...
It's cryptic enough.
It's so cryptic.
And it like leaves the door open. Like Elio's, yes, he's like telling him, you feel it, you don't really know what's going on. But then Oliver also knows and like is like, are you telling me what I think you're telling me?
He's cryptically being like, we're like identifying this thing we're feeling. And it's like, that's how they did it. And like, they're not making eye contact. He's like looking at the ground, rolling his bike.
They're both like rolling on opposite sides of the fountain.
And they meet. And then he basically affirms like, I feel the same way. And it's like, again, in this cryptic way. And you can like kind of tell like, damn, this is what he's been waiting for this moment, like the relief that happens.
And they do this magical bike ride, and Elio takes him to his secret reading spot.
Yeah.
I love that because this movie does a really good job. There's a world that Elio lived, like a very like lonely experience that we haven't seen, and you feel that loneliness because the fact that he's like going out to this like little river spot and reading on his own. He's like, I've read so many books here. It's like, damn, like how often are you alone? How like alone? Isolating that is.
Yeah, he's like aloof. I remember there was an interview for the movie where he was like, I play a very precocious young boy, so he's like so just like independently like curious and like always like running off and like that kind of, you know, and then which kind of adds up to like this like musical savant kind of like archetype, but he does, like, he has his own, like, I actually don't know if they say it in the movie, but they say it in the book where he's, no, they say it in the movie too, where he goes, you know, what do you do in the summer? And he's like, we wait for summer to end. And then he's like, what do you do in the winter? He's like, we wait for summer to come. Like, he's like,
Oliver says, like, what do you do? And then what do you do in the winter? What if wait for summer to come? You're always waiting for the next thing, which I think speaks to also the pining of like Elio's just like waiting around for like a romantic.
He's just like a loner. And I think you kind of learn at the end, I feel like you almost like are trying to like comfort him. He just got his heart broken. The dad and mom are both kind of like almost rolling their eyes because they're kind of like, he has no idea how much life he has ahead of him. And it's like, so he's pining, but like, I always remember at the end of it, I was like, in my head, I was like, don't be sad. Like, you could, like, you should go, like, you're about to go to college and like, you're
Timothy Chalamet, you're fine.
Yeah, you're hot. But like, I was like, it's like that, you think your world's over in those moments, and it's like, you have college next, and then you have, like, you go to school in New York, like, then you have so much after. Like, I always was like thinking, like, well, what comes next for him?
It's hard. Heartbreak is hard, though. It's very real, very painful. Almost in the same way that you're talking about how, you know, repressing things can take a toll on the body. Like, heartbreak can take a toll on the body. And we're not going to reveal what the dad says yet, but he alludes to that too. It's like with every new...
That's also like the worst part of that speech where he's like, I always think about that. I'm like, shut up. Don't say that. Like,
I can love forever.
No one wants to come near you. Yes, they will.
I love this, Oliver.
What?
Everything.
I think it just like speaks to just this, like hanging out in the sun, just like lounging, and just the comfort of being in the space with someone that he like really is attracted to and feels a connection with. And props to the acting in this movie is so good. It feels so real watching this, but like, Timothy's character like goes in and like starts like kissing Oliver. That's like, I was like, holy
I know, that kiss is crazy.
Yeah. And then Oliver kind of pushes him off.
The push, that push is crazy.
And then Oliver,
it's so accurate. I want to throw up in that scene.
Well, because you've had a similar experience.
So many times, like the slight like resist, but like not real resist, you know, like obviously, but it's so, because it's like he's resisting, but he's also giving in, and then he's wondering, like there's panic in your brain, like why is he pushing me away? And you can like see that. And then he does the second test where he grabs his and he's like,
because Oliver says, he has a great line. He's like, we haven't done anything bad yet, or we haven't crossed the line yet. And then, like, Timothy literally just like goes in and grabs Oliver's.
It's almost like reassurance. I think in those situations, a lot of the time, like if you leave on the note of like the push away, then you spend days being like, did he like regret it? Did I push that too hard? Like blah blah. So it's like you almost need the reassurance.
I was kind of surprised on rewatch. It doesn't really escalate until later because there's the whole scene there. Yeah, it's kind of, there's still like a little bit hot and cold. Like you definitely know the attraction's there now. That you now know that Oliver like reciprocates the attraction to Elio. Yeah, and they're out having like lunch or something, and then Elio gets a nosebleed. Different in my memory. In my memory, I thought, again, I hadn't seen this movie since 2018, and in my memory, I thought that Oliver goes to Elio in like this bar room, and they like passionately like start making out in my mind. But then instead it's this really touching scene where Oliver gives Elio a foot massage, which is like even more intimate than making out. I feel like
he's doing that thing where he's like, my grandma did this when we were sick, and it's like he almost like hurts you, so that like it's like, you know, when people say like you're nauseous,
you shift the pain.
Pinch yourself. Yeah, you should like do something to like distract your body. But he's like being like it's like that's like partner, you know, kind of stuff.
And I was almost transported to my first time watching this, like, oh my, like not only is there like a physical connection, but like Oliver could really potentially care.
Yeah, I think that's
at a deeper level.
I think that to Elio also was more meaningful than the kiss, because the kiss was like, you know, it's like almost like lustful. Like
lustful is a good word for it too. Yeah,
it's and you don't know how the other person felt about it, so then there's like this reassurance of like, oh, he cares about me. Mm-hmm. And that's like the most, once you find out someone cares about you, you're like, oh, this is real. Yeah. You know, it's not just like a drunken night out hookup and then you walk away like, how do they feel about me? It's like, you get your answer in those moments.
And then I think like Oliver goes out one night. Is that when Elio stays up for him, and then Oliver like comes back and like pees in the toilet. And I'm like, is this the next hookup scene? But he shuts the door on Elio.
Also classic. It's like he goes dark. Then he like pulls back because he's like, I just got too gay.
Yeah.
Like I don't. It's like it's so that I also like. I feel like I've seen so much like where it's like once or even more so than just physically like the hookup. It's like once you like you're maybe with somebody who's again like kind of like Oliver like closeted or like not. Or just very, and is not wrapping their own head around it and accepting it. Like after a moment of like vulnerability or intimacy, especially, like there's always a full like
the hangover,
and they retract because like for themselves, they're like I have to like, and then he's kind of like trying to be a man again in his head, a man again, but he's trying to like reclaim it and like comes home and Oliver's like, oh, is he gonna come in here? And like that's the door slam is brutal, but so accurate and like I also can be like I get that.
Traitor.
Your mind starts racing after the person like retracts and you're like, he hates me, like I did something wrong or he's gonna resent me. And then his response is like so good where he's like, grow up. And then he's like, I'll see you
at midnight.
And he like smirks because he's like, oh, like he's still into it.
Well, it's really exciting because it's like when someone you're like are interested in text you back.
I
you're
know.
like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I haven't heard from you for 3 days, but you finally responded.
Heart your Instagram story. Now worse so for us, like when you're texting and you're like, did he misinterpret?
There's so many different avenues of being ignored.
Being ignored and you're like, did he misinterpret that? And then you double down and you send another one. Like, I was just kidding about that, by the way. And they're like, oh, I wasn't thinking about it. And fuck, now he's
why did I double text?
Now he thinks it's psychotic. Yeah. But that's like, that's his like energy the whole time. And like in the book, they spend a lot more time on that where it's like one page is like a moment that happened and the next page is Elio's internal dialogue, freaking out about every part of it where he's like, why do you say that? Like, why do you look at me like that? Like, and it's funny because they never show what Oliver's thinking really. Then it like takes off.
And they have this like really passionate makeout scene. Elio just like hops on Oliver. It's just very like, there's just a sweetness to it that doesn't feel like it. I don't know. Just it's so beautiful.
Well, I think then it's like once you get that moment for Elio, like the power shifts because he gets all the validation. He's like, okay, he wants me and he likes me and he's into me.
The movie up until this point has really been Elio's perspective, but there's a moment that I really noticed this time. We're now in Oliver's perspective.
Yeah.
He's like, what the is going on with it?
Yeah,
what the just happened?
He's panicking now.
And Elio's just staring out the window.
They role reverse basically. Like he now needs validation, gets it from, he's like, oh, you're hard. And then he like slams the door. Yeah. But I remember in that moment being kind of like, yeah. Like I was like, Elio's like, he's now, like I was like, yeah, this is good. Like I'm glad. I was like excited when Oliver got anxious and Elio was like confident.
Yeah, that both sides can experience it because so like we're all stuck in our own perspective and I mean, in my personal experience, there's times where I'm like really ruminating after one, where I want a validation from someone. Or other times where I've gotten validation from, I've acted in both ways, is what I'm trying to say. So it's really beautiful to see it from both sides.
It is good. And it also like then reminds you that like, because it's always so easy to vilify the other one. In that scenario especially, it's so easy to vilify like the older, cocky, like closeted guy while like Elio's like the sweet, almost like more openly, little, like not little boy. So it's so easy to be like Oliver's a and then you see this and you're like, actually, they're both struggling. Right? They're both having a hard time right now.
In your opinion, why do you think Elio was struggling? Or why did he go cold on Oliver?
Why did he go cold? I think he, up until that point, like, it wasn't real. It was so like again, like the pining after theme. And then I think after that, he himself like had to look at himself and he's like, oh, I am gay. Like I think he was never thinking about it in the terms of like, I'm gay. I think he just had like this crush, kind of like I was saying before, like when I was like, I knew that I liked these boys, but I never put a name to it or anything, or like ever gave it real thought. And then once it happens, you almost like, I think he was having like gay panic. Like he was kind of then was having like, oh shit, like what am I, what's going on here? Like as someone who's been in that situation, like you start to think, where does this go? And like what's gonna happen? You almost see it all in your head in like an instant and you just assume like, this is gonna like, where is this is gonna pan out not in my favor. Like I think he almost maybe in that moment was like, this guy's gonna leave and marry a woman and never come out. So I think he maybe all like clicked then. He wanted this thing so bad, but so he was so blurred vision on everything else. Like he wasn't looking at himself the whole time. He's just looking like, I love, obsessed with this guy. and then he gets it, and then he's like, it's kind of like the fog clears, and you're like, oh, it's like what is
the
happening?
reality of the situation? Like what?
Yeah.
Eventually, there's a timeline on this, and Oliver will eventually leave. What does that mean?
And what does it mean for me? Like, aside from him, like, I think that was his moment of like, I'm gay. Like, that was pretty gay. We had sex last night. Like,
Yeah.
you know, that was, I mean, I think that was his first experience. His also first sexual experience with the guy. Even though he wanted it so bad, it's still a big deal for him. Like, we know why it's a big deal for Oliver, but like, for him, you're like, oh, you should think he'd be jumping for joy. That's what he wanted. But it's like, it's also a big deal for him. It's also like kind of a coming out to yourself moment.
Between the secret reading spot and their actual hookup, Elio starts intensely having sex with his girlfriend.
He is also having like I don't want to be gay. Like, it's like you are trying to almost like prove to yourself, like, I'm not fully that. You know, maybe I'm just some whatever. But I think he then is overcompensating. He's almost like being like competitive with Oliver, because I feel like he's like, that's like his like response almost.
In the midnight scene when they first hook up, they're lying in bed together. And that's when Oliver says,
call me by your name and I'll call you by mine.
and it's so beautiful too because they're like intertwined. It was such a straight, when I watched it too, I was like, what the fuck is happening? They're saying their own name, almost as if the other person is them.
Elio. Elio.
That was hard for me to kind of interpret for a while, I feel like, and I've rewatched it a ton of times, and like then I feel like it started to make more sense of like, this is like us together. We're so intertwined and so, you know, one in this.
And I could be wrong. I don't think there's not like a montage of them like hooking up and having sex all the time. Like there's a really big moment where they hook up at midnight and they do the call me by your name thing.
Yeah.
But then I think it kind of goes back to like a little bit of a hot and cold again.
Yeah.
And then eventually Oliver goes into town and Elio bikes after him.
They start to talking about it. Everything's like kind of cryptic.
I don't want you to regret anything. And I hate the thought that maybe I may have messed you up.
There's like gay panic and there's like gay guilt almost, where he's like worried that he like totally twisted him up.
Influenced him, which it's so strange to see because a lot of the movie we've seen Elio was the one pining after him even before he knew that Oliver was interested.
Yeah. Well, I think,
And Elio says, like, I'm not going to tell anyone or anything. Like, he's confused what Oliver's telling him. So it's like a little bit of miscommunication on both ends. And as viewers, it's a little tragic in a way because we've seen both sides of things. And when I say like tragic, it's not like nobody's like dying. But it's just, there's like little miscommunications between them.
I always interpreted that also as like Oliver acknowledging to himself, like, I'm gonna fucking leave here and never come out. So it's like, I know I'm gonna like hurt this kid, because he is like a kid to him. I mean, he's 17, 24, like, obviously it's not ideal, but it's like, still like, he's looking at him as like this kid who's, you know, house
young, impressionable kid, and he's worried that he's influenced.
And he knows he's gonna crush him.
Yeah.
I think he knows that at that point. Like, he's saying, like, I don't want to think I messed you up, and it's like, kid, he does.
Yeah. Well, and then so that's why I think the peach scene is so important, because then, like, Elio, like, how do I even say that? He like punches a hole, he punctures and basically like into this peach. Oliver like finds him, and then he's like gonna go like bite into it. He's like playful with it, and then again there's a miscommunication happening because they're both at different emotional levels. Like Elio's about to burst out crying,
he's freaking out,
and Oliver's like he's like thinking it's like some hot like sexy moment, and then Elio like bursts out into tears, and then it's really beautiful in that scene because they both, like, Oliver's able to emotionally comfort Elio.
Yeah, I think that's where the age kind of plays into it. You kind of the whole time think that Oliver's going to have the harder time accepting this, that they're both gay and whatnot, but it's like, you forget that, like, even though Elio the whole time appears to want it more, like, because he's like pining this like cute little boy, like, he actually also this is hard for him the same amount, if not maybe more, than for Oliver.
Yeah,
because he's really like coming of age in those moments.
And then we're shown it's really like smartly done, and I wonder if it went down in the book too. But Elio's parents, like a gay couple, comes and visits.
Yeah.
Like, not only are they kind of seeing that like Elio might be interested in Oliver, there might be a thing happening there. But they also have like gay friends, they're totally okay with it. They're like open with it. They're very like artistic, intelligent people. And I think that just goes to show, again, what we were speaking to earlier about like the coming of age experience. Like here we have, even in this like accepting household, it's still really hard for Elio. Like it's hard to open yourself up emotionally, and I think it's such a struggle of being a parent from the parent side of things too. It's so hard to like watch your child and like being able to like identify, maybe even identify something about themselves before they even know. Because I think with my parents, they knew I was gay even before I knew I was gay. So it's like they can. Our parents are as we were saying, moms are very intelligent.
It's I think that household, if anything, is like the best household to come out, and you would think it's like
it's still this movie shows it's still hard to do.
It's just like it's him it's him against him in his own brain. Like it has nothing to do with that, and like even to an extent it does. Like I feel like during the dad speech and when he's talking to his mom, he still kind of is like, I don't want you guys to like think of me different, in any way. But it is like it shows that it's still hard. And with the gay friends, Elio makes like that snarky comment where he's like calls them ridiculous, or he calls them
Sonny and
Cher. And then he's like, why are you calling
And the dad's like, why would you say that?
And he kind of knows, like he's kind of like, you're lashing out, this is you clearly projecting. But then he like makes a joke of it where he's like, why do you call them that? Because they're gay or because they're ridiculous? That's so good. But that's also such an important moment when the gay couple comes over, because then I feel like most people have that thought where they're like, well, why would he be scared to come out? So then you learn that it's like it has nothing to do with that. Like your dad could be the most openly gay guy in the world, and you still would have a hard time.
I come out here for hours almost every night.
I didn't know that.
Oliver says that he, like over the course of the time that he's been over there in the summer, he'd come out at the balcony either like a morning or night.
Oh yeah.
And Elio's like, I didn't know that. Like they're just like learning about this whole. That's another level of the tragedy too. Is it took so long for them to act on their feelings. They both were living these lives in this house, doing their own things, not knowing what the other person was doing. Meanwhile, both of them were pining after one another. I thought was really kind of beautiful to be revealed there.
And I guess no one really technically like made the first move. It was pretty like mutual to the point of the kiss.
Yeah. I feel like Elio really took some bold swings. He took some bold swings. He went in for the kiss. He's the one who said, there's things that I know.
Yeah. I guess, I feel like he thinks he like got the opening to go in, but I guess you're right. He did the more aggressive part of that.
But I would be interested to revisit it, because I didn't look at it with this lens, but Oliver is the older person. I know. And was there, I don't want to use the M word, but I wonder if there was some manipulation going on there to make Elio feel like he was the one making the move when actually Oliver was the one kind of setting it up all to begin with.
Well,
not that I'm saying it's like some like sinister.
No, but I do think, which I've actually noticed with like guys who are like super like Oliver, like they're very closeted, like very like I don't want to be gay guys. Like they almost like bait you to make the first move, or like they need it to happen to them. So it's like, I'm not the one doing it, nor am I like encouraging it. Like it's almost like he was. I think that is accurate. Like I think
he's like, oh, I'm just like entertaining what this kid wants,
and are like, I don't care. Like, if you want to kiss me, like go for it. Like and it's that kind of attitude. Just because it's kind of like that's their own. It's like their own mental hump to get over. Of like, I don't want this. Like it's just like it happened, and I'm like whatever. I'm easygoing. But then obviously you get to the point where then he starts. Like Oliver starts to get like way more sexual and like proactive about it, but I think it is accurate. I've read things about people paint Oliver as like this like villain throughout the movie, as like he's being evil throughout all of this, like that he's manipulative, that he's like taking advantage of this like vulnerable boy just for his own like toying amusement, and like knowing that he was going to leave and not care. I don't think that's like a good depiction, but I think that's probably a misinterpretation of what you're saying for people who like don't understand really like what it's like to be. This closet guy. Because it's easy if you were like, straight and watched that. You're like, this 24-year-old's like hooking up with this 17-year-old whose house they're staying in. Like, kind of does seem a little predatory, but it's like, it's not. Like, that was.
And there's more of there's
more nuance.
There's a complexity to it.
Yeah.
To be 17 and then 24, that's a pretty significant age gap. Like, if 10 years where it's like, what would that be? 27 and 34, like the gap kind of closes the older you get. But yeah, it's you're impressionable at 17, but I think there's like, this was 1983 and there really was no like blueprint.
No.
And
Especially for
I think to a degree, the parents almost vet Oliver as like this like intelligent, well-to-do person. So it was almost like there's a safety. I see there's a safety that is happening in their house.
Yeah.
And the movie makes a point to show you throughout the movie the dad and the mom both recognizing what's happening and kind of like approving it in a way. Like it's like almost under their guidance, their secret guidance that
they give the approval
that they're allowing this to happen. And then eventually Oliver even says like, I knew that your parents knew about us, or at the very least were like accepting when your dad started treating me like a son-in-law. Like I was part of the family.
Yeah.
The parents have a private conversation, and they're like, I can't believe it's like Oliver's like leaving soon. He has one trip that we're gonna go on, and then the mom's just like, well, what about Elio? Like Elio should go with Oliver on this trip.
Yeah.
So it's them in a way acknowledging that there's this relationship happening.
Yeah.
And I forgot all about this. There's like a beautiful montage of them just like running through like the mountains and
it's
waterfalls. It's like so like gorgeous and beautiful, and they have like a drunken night together, just like having this like vacation within a vacation.
It's like a death row meal. Like it's like you like they're literally like so like. I think they both kind of have this inkling that like the end is near, but it's like this last moment, like last hurrah. So they just like kind of push that aside, and they just like get to be so free. It's like that's their only free time because they're also away from his family, and like there's no witnesses almost. Like, you know, it's like they don't know anyone in this town. And those moments, like I used to like go on trips with this guy, like, and we used to act out what it would be like to be a couple. Like you almost play house. Like they ran and they were like being free, and they were running around the mountains and running through the streets. And it's so like happy, but also kind of like sad. Like I think that night where he's like super drunk, it's like kind of sad, you know?
It's sad because they're both like having, there's like just one of those drunken nights. So it's like wandering through this like beautiful like village at night, and there's a car playing this 80s song, which is a callback to earlier in the movie. There was a dance scene that we kind of skipped over.
Yeah.
Where Elio's watching
that's a big one too.
Oliver dance and like making out this woman, and like a group of like girls, like everyone wants Oliver.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. And then it like does like this slow zoom in on Elio clearly in love with Oliver.
Angry, like sitting there smoking cigarettes, angry, and like I feel like I've done that too, where like the guy I've been having is like being this performative male is like dancing with girls and making out you sit there just seething.
So on vacation it kind of repeats again.
Yeah. And that's our last night. It all hits then.
Yeah.
The next day is where he calls his mom to pick him up, and that's also brutal, where he like cries the whole way home.
Yeah. I've had a few of those experiences.
Oh my God. I mean, and then it leads into obviously like the greatest monologue ever with the dad.
Look, you had a beautiful friendship. Maybe more than a friendship. And I envy you. My place, most parents would hope the whole thing goes away. Pray their sons land on their feet, but I am not such a parent. We rip out so much of ourselves to be cured of things faster that we go bankrupt by the age of 30 and have less to offer each time we start with someone new. But to make yourself feel nothing so as not to feel anything. What a waste. Have I spoken out of turn?
The dad's monologue is like one of the best ever. You know, to not feel anything. Like I think that's like the biggest takeaway of like you can't sit and wallow. Like I spent so many years sitting and like being sad, or like just sitting and wallowing in it and being miserable. And I remember my mom was like, she was like, no, like you gotta like, you're too young and like you have so much ahead of you. Like this is your, like you can't waste so much time just like sitting and being sad about it. Like you have to feel it and go through it. I remember someone, we were like sitting in a room kind of towards the end and was like, what do you think about like Wade and X, his name? And she was like, I think this is good. Like he's got to go through it. Like you have to, like your first biggest love like has to be a heartbreak. Because it's true, like you do have to go through it. Like he talks about the importance of feeling the pain. Like you can't wash it out, block it out, try to like deny it. And you can't waste time sitting around like dwelling on it. You know, like he says, your heart and your mind are given to us only once. Like you can't, and then you can't afterwards put walls up and get so guarded you let no one else in. That monologue is like perfect. And he also kind of alludes to maybe also having his homosexual experience.
As you're like describing this, I'm getting chills.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, he's so good. He's like smoking a cigarette. Like in the setting, so good. It's just like
Yeah.
so good. And he's such a good dad.
Just full of understanding.
And he's like blunt, and he just like hits it, and he's kind of like, you need to hear this. My dad's not like that. He is great, but that was like crazy.
Well, then I think back to the setting in which I first saw the movie, and I thought of my sister's friend who just like loved this movie, and I wonder if that dad scene is kind of like a standing for like gay people when they come out. Maybe they have a parent that isn't so accepting, and they kind of idealize and wish they had someone like that was able to speak to them in that way, especially with like men and gay men and their fathers, and sometimes how those relationships can be difficult when there's like a difference in sexuality, and to just have a father who's like so accepting and could speak to you in that way. I think that's why it's so moving and so wonderful.
I think that's spot on. Like, I think he kind of was like everyone's dad. Like, he was the dad everyone.
It's like healing to watch it.
Yeah.
When I watched it last night, I forgot so much people said. I was like, I need to be taking notes.
Yeah, it was kind of like what everyone needed to hear.
Yeah,
like,
I need like a poster of the whole entire script.
I watch it all the time. Whoever wrote that should have won something.
James Ivory wrote it, which I should have known. He wrote the screenplay for Morris.
Oh, really?
The movie and that movie came out in 1987. You really ought to watch that movie and let me know
So he's
what you
like
think of it.
the most legendary gay
writer. He's really good because he did win an Oscar for this. And he's currently, as of this year, he's 97 years old.
97?
But when he won the Oscar, he became the oldest competitive Academy Award winner. He won it for Best Adapted Screenplay. The delivery by the dad is just so
good. It's like too good.
Yeah.
That's the moment.
Well, it's one of the moments. You don't realize that's emotionally devastating, and then you literally go to the next scene that might even be more.
Well, you think that's the end. Like, I thought that was the end.
Like, oh, good, it's over.
I was like, oh, damn, yeah. So he's going to get back up, and like, everything's going to be okay. He's going to move on. We pan to winter.
Oliver just seems to be living his life. He seems to be like over to a degree. Like
he's like jovial. He's like kicking through. He has his headphones on.
I wonder if you've experienced this too, where you think you've like kind of like moved on. You haven't really thought about that. You haven't heard from them.
And then a landline comes and like and then he calls.
As the phone
parents.
rings.
Pronto.
Elio? You there?
Hi. How are you?
Hears Oliver's voice and is
I was like, oh my god! Like,
a lady takes off his little '80s headphones.
His little headphones, and he's wearing like that turtleneck. And he's like, I've missed you. He was like, missed you too. I mean, it's like the most like central. They're like, you can like feel it. And then he goes, I have something to tell you.
Oh, you're getting married? I suppose.
I might be getting married next spring. Yeah.
And he's like, you're getting married. Like, he knows. He can like feel it. Because he's been dreading that call. He's probably thought about it a million times, like the possible outcomes.
But Elio says it in a joking way.
Yeah, like, you're getting married.
He doesn't seem really to believe. He's like, what are you going to tell me? You're getting married?
Yeah, you're getting married. He's being snarky. And he's like, yeah. And he's like,
the parents like pick up and they're like, oh my gosh, we're going to see someone. Yeah. He's like, yeah, I'm getting married. They're like, oh my God, congratulations. And then they're like, oh.
They look at yeah.
And they're like, oh, we'll let you talk to Oliver again. And they're like looking at each other in the kitchen like, oh no.
Remember everything.
And then Oliver goes like does like a deep like central sigh and he goes like Oliver, 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 and he like kind of smirks, and then I think they just hang up. And then he goes to the fire, and that song, Visions of Gideon, it's like on my cry playlist. It's one of my top cry songs.
I was shocked when I first saw this in theaters that
oh my God.
Elio just sits down at the fireplace. I'm like waiting for some other cathartic thing to happen. And then the title of the movie pops up. I'm like, surely this isn't the end of the movie. And then the credits start playing over Elio as he's just staring into the fire.
For like 3 minutes.
Well, yeah, it's really impressive. And then eventually he like kind of starts, like kind of turns into like a bit of a smile.
Yeah.
And then the movie ends.
You can just tell he's saying like traitor in his head almost. Like he's kind of like smiling almost like and like I knew it. And like, you know, he's kind of like smiling and like nodding his head. And then the housekeeper's like, Elio, like dinner, you know, and then it's like he has to like go back to real life. But the cry fire is brutal. And so relatable, like so visceral, and so like, you know, we've all cried like that. I cry like that all the time. I did it like yesterday. Like it's like, nah, that's a tough one.
And so back to the dad's speech, to add on to you saying that, it's like, I don't think the dad is saying to like not feel sadness, but I think it's to acknowledge that like the sadness you feel is really powerful because it meant that it
was real.
Meant that it was real, and you only exist for so long.
When like what the relationship I was in before, when it came to an end, my good friend, he had such a good line. I had to literally tell people that when we're like out drunk all the time, like, you know what he said to me? And like he was like, do you know how lucky we are to be the types of people who can get knocked on our ass by someone else, like, and be like so heartbroken and sad? He's like, do you know how much it would suck to be one of these other people who like either feels nothing or like pretends to feel nothing and like just is like, F it, and like he's like it's so much better to be the former, where like you have the capability to be like so vulnerable and like knocked on your ass, like you at least put yourself out there and like loved so deeply. I think it's important to get your heart broken. I think it's important to go through things, because the alternative is to repress and hide and reject and deny. And it's like in any context, if you're straight, you know, it doesn't have to always be in this gay context of like repression. Like people, you know, it's like it could just be like you're being like, I don't care that this didn't work out. It's like you should sit there and like be like, I am sad that this didn't work out, and cry a little bit and do it, but then just like go through it. The only way out is through.
Mm-hmm. So where do you think Elio ended up?
I think he went to New York. I think he went to like NYU or Columbia. He was so smart. I think he went to school in New York and was like an ultra like creative and became like super gay. Like came out, like was running around. Like I think he like unleashed fury.
Do you think he eventually met a partner and they lived happily?
Yeah, I always think that he like thrived after that. And Oliver, like we were saying before, like I think he's miserable. Yeah. Like he was in love with this man, and like those are the two paths. For like they were both in the same situation and they took two opposite paths.
Mm. You gotta watch Morris, and I need to know your opinion.
I need to see it. Anything that's like, it's very hard to find movies that scratch the similar itch or like touch on these like nuanced themes, so I will watch for sure.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to think in our discussion of Call Me By Your Name, it does sound like it kind of was a little bit of like a kernel of helping you in that process and the connection between you and your mom. And she was able to kind of come to you and you were able to open up in that way.
I appreciate it too, and I think you're right. I think this movie, I'm learning through this, was more significant to my journey than I thought. For me, and I think for people around me, to like start thinking, you know, what this situation really is and what it is to be, you know, in the closet and gay and as a boy, and the kind of struggles of that. And I think it was a great kind of launch pad for that next chapter of my life. So thank you.
And if you haven't seen Call Me By Your Name yet,
watch it.
You gotta watch it.
Yeah.